monster who was definitely not gay, but definitely gay.
One of those types.
Yeah.
Is this guy asking to give our lives for the shard or something like that?
No, what he's explaining is that essentially so first off, the reason why everyone is gone, like basically all of the natives escaped to a higher plane of existence, which he's called space. So that's what he's talking about there. Spaceline 4, Spaceline 5. Think of it as dimensions. So if we're working 3 dimensions, like David said, the 4th dimension, that sort of stuff. And the stuff he's talking about there is the cylinder, the crystal thing that's been formed from the light bridges. And that's what's taken his people to Spaceline 6. The light crystals basically were his invention, and it backfired massively because no one died. The life cycle got completely disrupted, and everyone turned feral, everyone turned angry, society fell apart, and then the remnants went to the higher plane of existence, and he stayed behind as punishment to himself.
Okay.
But basically, what he's saying is that like to activate the eye to switch the power on to make it work, is extremely dangerous and might be fatal.
Oh, okay.
So that's a Chekhov's gun for later on. Essentially, is that it is a 2-person job to activate it, and it might kill one of the 2.
Are there any more of them?
The movie was In the Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Oh, okay.
Another fucking phenomenal movie, just absolutely fantastic. But I think in the course of a couple of years, he just hit out banger after banger. Eyes of Tammy Faye, Tick Tick Boom, Spider-Man No Way Home, and then he also did.
He's also coming back for another Spider-Man film, by the way.
He's not going to come back with the Spider-Man film. That looks like it's going to just be a very grounded story. He is going to probably be in Secret Wars, which is the most obvious place to put him in next.
Him and Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, and then it was Under the Banner of Heaven. So in the space between 2021 and 2022, I don't think there was a single thing that he did that was bad.
It's very rare. It's very rare for him to do anything bad. Like Social Network,
very rare.
Social Network was the first thing I've seen him in, actually.
So he's brilliant in that.
You know what I find very interesting, and I think like it's something that it's not really a gaming conversation, but it's something to be talked about for movies. Essentially, you know how like with like kind of like award ceremonies and stuff like that, like the awards are always based on one person's performance in one movie, and it's kind of gauged through that lens. I don't recall if there's any award ceremonies that reward someone for having a consistently solid year of work, if you know what I mean. Where like you're not necessarily like let's just say like you have, if you're, I don't know who won the Oscar for whatever the fuck this year, because it's all predetermined anyway, faker than wrestling, as I say. But like say whoever won the Oscar that day, like that is probably possibly the one movie they worked on all year. Wherever you mentioned Andrew Garfield there doing like 4 or 5 solid movies over 2 years, like is like if you're doing a cumulative, like if not, is there not something to be said for doing like 5 solid 8 or 9 out of 10 movies and doing one solid year? I think like that's personally, I think like the body of work of an actor, I think, is more important than the highs and lows, because that's where you get false dawns. That's where you get like people getting hubris. Whereas actual career actors never really get the recognition for it. Like.
But they don't anymore. I think in these days they don't anymore. Before they definitely used to.
That's fair. Yeah, because I think it's also changed.
Stuff like
the
that.
movies have to have an Oscar to justify themselves as well. Like I always feel like the movies that are out already have already won the awards before they're given. I was like, there's no real kind of like prize. I in fairness, like again, there was a movie conversation. I'd say the same about games as well. Like there was the video game awards are perhaps the most ridiculous performative nonsense think of.
Oh god, yes.
Whatever the biggest release of the year is not going to win the video game year award, and we all know it. And it's always going to be fucking Elden Ring, because that's the only video game one that anyone from that panel knows. And again, like Elden Ring has been out for 3 years, but because there was a DLC for it, they put it back in to the category. It's like, that's not how this works. Like if
that's not how any of this works.
That's not how anything works. If a director's cut of a movie comes out 3 years in a row and now the movie's like 6 hours long, that doesn't make it any better. That makes it worse.
That's Snyder. We're looking at you, Justice League, you dick.
Yeah. If the Snyder Cut, like, does the Snyder Cut make it win and like does it put it back into an award? No, it doesn't. But I'm saying that's also the commercial side of it, where like you have to justify its existence because it is an inherently ridiculous thing to give an award.
Actually, do you know why? Technically, he did.
The probe you sent out brought us
When
here.
he re-released
We want
Justice
to go back
League
to our home
under his
planet.
own vision, technically, it's an Oscar-winning movie, albeit he didn't have a trophy, because he got a fan award for like the best audience scene, and that was the Flash going into the Speed Force and coming back out of it to save everyone. Shit way of showing the Speed Force, by the way. Again, if the CW was doing it better, you've got a lot of fucking questions to ask yourself. That's not a shot at the CW show. Flash CW show had his issues for the last 4 seasons, but I think that was just down to budget more than anything else.
But I just had a look there, by the way. The Game Awards has an award for the most anticipated game.
GTA
what
6
is
for
that
about 10
mean?
years.
What does that mean? Like, it's like you're basically saying like, okay, here's an award for the video game like publishing industry for winding itself up in a fucking in a lather. That's not an award for anything.
And
That's just
we all know
that is a
who's
reason
going
to
to win the
promote
next.
the
We
game.
all know who's going to win that next. It's going to be Grand Theft Auto.
Yep.
No, Grand Theft Auto 6 won that award.
Oh, did he? What did he? How many win?
Like all
It's
of
been anticipated for 10 years.
that won the award, but the only reason it qualified for the award was because there was an announcement for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yes,
You know what I mean? There has to be a tangible, like, you know, like it's like we've proven this exists. This project is ongoing, and like
So
Death
who's not
Stranding.
going to win that award? Who's not going to win
You know.
that award this year, though? Fucking Football Manager 2025. I've never seen a company fucking nuke the
Aaron?
goodwill so
Aaron?
quickly.
Aaron, best sports game of the year according to the Game Awards 2024 was EA Sports 25.
No,
FC 25.
because it was only properly released 2 weeks ago when they fixed everything.
EA Sports FC 25 won that award.
Bollocks. EA bought it, basically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like again, I can tell you right now that like out of about 20 awards, 5 games won those awards. And it's the 5 games that people have heard about that year. This is what I'm saying. Like it's like there was actually no it's always like the one indie game you've heard of. Therefore, Balatro won like 5 awards. This happens every year. Like they kind of pat themselves in the back for discovering. But they pat themselves in the back for discovering Balatro when like you haven't actually discovered anything. The whole point of an award is like an actual the whole point of an award is like a critical analysis. But games is the most subjective medium you have.
Yep.
Like all 3 of us will play. What was it? Okay, what was the actual video game award? Like they didn't actually. Game of the year was Astrobot, according to this, right? So Astrobot is the game of the year. All 3 of us play Astrobot.
I'm going to say this because I did play Astrobot. Astrobot's a fun fucking game. It's probably the best original PlayStation game in a while, to be quite honest.
But here's the thing, you see, because the video game thing now is so slow moving that like the game is in production for 3 years. In 2023, people know that in 2024 it's going to win awards, if you know what I mean. Whereas like in a situation, the movies have a quicker turnaround now than games. Games are developed much slower now than they are back in the day. Where like if those video game awards done in like say, okay, do you know what? Let's do a bit of fantasy booking here. So the dig.
Well, I mean, if Grand Theft Auto comes out this year, it's probably going to sweep the award next year. If it comes out this year, I have a feeling
every category, right?
I have a feeling it's probably not. I think it's going to be delayed. I would be shocked if it actually came out at the time that they said.
I have a feeling it will, for one reason and one reason only, because nowadays they don't have to release the entire game in one go. All of that map that you're going to be playing is going to be server based. There's not going to be any locally based mapping at all. So when you look at it that way, if they have a server based mapping, that's going to take a huge load off the shoulders of the devs, because everyone's just going to be playing through the server rather than, oh, here's a game that's 150 gig, 200 gig.
Yeah.
No, they're going to cloud server it, and it's going to be so much easier to release. Now, the servers may go down due to traffic, which will probably happen.
Probably
But
happen,
It probably will be unplayable, I think, for the first week.
I genuinely think it'll be released this year because of AI, cloud gaming, the advancements since the last one. Yeah, I genuinely think it will come out this year.
And you also can understand that they're going to be building a sandbox as you're playing it as well.
Exactly.
So like, as I said, there is going to be almost a month lead in time before the game is actually properly functional. But just as an example, right? So if you're to do Video Game Awards in 1995, right, which is the game that the year that this game was released, let me try out some games that are highly rated, right?
Okay.
I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, Phantasmagoria, Chrono Trigger, Gabriel Knight: The Beast Within, Command and Conquer, Full Throttle, Rayman, Donkey Kong Country 2, Tekken 2, Discworld, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Twisted Metal, this game to dig. Just trying out some random ones here as well.
That's mad. Chrono Trigger was so good.
Yeah, Time Crisis.
Yes.
Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Mega Man 7, Mega Man X3, Street Fighter Alpha, Space Quest 6, Ark the Lad, Castlevania Dracula X. You see what I'm saying? Like there was so much happening in those years because they were easy to make.
But that's because what you said, Jonathan, a few weeks ago of games were made by people who wanted to make story-based games. They wanted to make games because they were passionate. They wanted to create something. Nowadays, it's a tick box exercise to make sure that they get. It's a marketing ploy. Basically, every game is they put more into marketing than they do the actual fucking game itself.
Oh yeah.
In order for it to be successful, we need to push this down everyone's throats rather than let's get creative and let's build like the last real story-based game I played. Well, I'd say story-based was a side scroller, and probably one of the best games I played the last 10 years was Ori and.
Ori's very good, I believe. Yeah.
Not Will of the Wisp, but the Ori series of games was just fucking phenomenal. And that was the last time I felt like somebody really put everything into this game to make it just beautiful and a really good story. Child of Light was another one that I loved.
See, that's the thing you see. Like, I think because like that's why people are kind of turning back to retro games a bit more. But it's also that like there's two different game industries, and again we've had the conversation already. It's in the sense where like you have the independent to low level kind of like small studio games, let's say, where there is a labor of love to a certain degree and stuff like that. But then you also have like big publisher games that need the over excessive hype marketing to sustain itself. Because if you don't market the game doesn't come out. It's a slow drip of money then, and it doesn't justify itself. And then of course then you have the risk of over marketing it, and people get pissed off. Then it's like, I don't want to see this fucking Assassin's Creed game again. Fuck off. Or you make some sort of misstep in production, and it's part of the marketing, and it's killed.
You gotta hand it to Ubisoft, by the way. Sorry for cutting you off. You gotta hand it to Ubisoft for not just fucking slapping that yoke out and actually giving you time to fucking develop. Because I think they probably know this one's gotta work. Otherwise,
but that's the thing, you see. I that's why, like, again, that's not even Ubisoft's fault. That's probably just a developer going, no, we have to rebuild this engine from the start.
What game is this?
Again, Ubisoft had their own problem in that
Assassin's Creed, the new one with the black ninja.
Oh, so there's another one. I mean, are they putting one out every year? Or...
No, we haven't had one since Mirage. They're taking their time with us.
Yeah, but wasn't Mirage like last year, or the year before?
For 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago, and it was
2 years ago. Okay.
Put 7 hours into it and never touched it again.
Only 7.
Because see, I always give Assassin's Creed games time because there's a lot of build up to it, right? That one was just bad. It was just a bad game. They sold me a fucking lie, bastards. Because they got me back in with Origins. I stayed for Valhalla. I fucking love Odyssey. Cassandra is the best assassin. Fight me. Better than Enzo. Don't give a shit. She's fucking fantastic. And then Mirage came out and I was like, right, they've got me again. I'm fucking in. I paid for the start of it. I put 90 hours into the fucking game. I didn't touch for fucking 7 months and then I deleted it.
All of them.
I put more time into FIFA in the last week than I did that game.
Yeah. Brink is unhappy again. I think it's to do with the skin tone.
A very quick one. Did you hear who's hosting on your under 21 in 2027?
What are you talking about?
Albania and Serbia.
Where the fuck did they get off? Like, that's going to cause World War III. That'll be it.
I mean, so in any constellation era, they're not going to be drawn together.
True.
Like,
So what's this? The under 21s?
under 17 Euros.
Under 17? Ah, shit, fucking. There
No,
won't be enough.
under
There won't
21s.
be
No,
enough.
under 21s.
Yeah.
There won't be enough people to fucking cause a riot there.
That's also part of it as well. Like, it is like basically tournament for football scouts. Like, so long as the football scouts aren't like showing up the eagle signs, I think we're okay.
He didn't damage the machine part, did he?
So Brink is taking our machine parts.
Yeah, because he wants them for science and research.
Yes. So that's the part to activate the eye, but we need 2 life crystals to power it, which again is part of what the guy was talking about. That you actually does need life energy to power it. Like, you're essentially, like, bear in mind, like the infographic at the museum basically said those life crystals are essentially like corpse. It is like life energy.
There's a save there called Rat Bastards. That's quite funny.
Yeah, that was to do with the possum. I get what if I'm ever playing Scum, I get very creative with the save file names. But yeah, like when you were saying with some of the Assassin's Creed project thing, like the other factor in that to include is the fact that Ubisoft have made massive layoffs. Like the studio that is working on that Assassin's Creed project is one of the only current Ubisoft studios going. Like, I think they've laid off 2 huge studios. I think Montreal and I think possibly Bordeaux, I think it is. They've been dissolved completely. They're not being incorporated into anything else, nothing like that. They are basically gone, which is unbelievable. But then again, it's not even really a surprise. In fairness, because like Ubisoft as a company just don't know where they're going, and there's just so much shit happening under the like behind the scenes in terms of like like misuse allegations and all this sort of stuff. There's just so much like chaos on a corporate level that like they can't secure any budgets or anything like that, or they're not signing off on any money. So you just have a whole lot of studios like basically going idle. And of course, because they're under a Ubisoft title, they can't kind of do like a Nixer. They can't take a license or they can't take a game project somewhere else because that's not their twist. It's like if a Sony studio decided to do something else, they can't because it has to be under a Sony publishing, So in the conversation about like why like certain games aren't being made anymore, it is solely because they legally can't. Whereas in the 90s, if like again we use Sierra as an example, if one guy in the Sierra office wants to make a game, basically just has to like sweet talk Kenneth Williams, and usually it works because Kenneth Williams can be sweet talked very quickly. His deal was essentially, okay, if it makes me money, you get to make the game again. If it doesn't make me money, I'm gonna slap you and you're not gonna get to make it again. Like that's pro quid pro, like when you think about it, because like he's the head of the company. He needs to make money. He needs to sustain the business. And so long as you give him a good business model, then he's yours. Like it makes sense. But yeah, like I said, that's why that's also why like Ubisoft would be heavily reliant on its own series, because like it's better to basically be working on something that it's the devil and the devil you don't, or at least it's it's an IP that like you can sell to a corporate suit and say it's like this but with this, which is why you have so many sandbox games nowadays, because or Soulsborne games, because that this genre of games work. So here's just more of the same but with one slight difference. So like Ghost of Yotei, for example, or Ghost of Tsushima, something like that. Like that's like you're basically doing a Shogun version of Dark Souls. Fucking sold. You already won the award for just having a good idea. Doesn't matter if it works. You've won already. The kind of way.
By the way, I meant to say, Jonathan, have you played a game called The Seventh Guest?
I have actually. I played it on the other parish, would you believe?
Any good?
Shite.
It was the #1 selling PC game in 1993.
But here's the thing, right? 1990 it is shite by today's standards. But if I was playing in 1993, my mind would have been blown because of the technology.
It's like the dig.
Do you know my game? That's the perfect encapsulation of my game version of that is the Getaway. I fucking adored that game when it came out. Cleared it, and then my memory card got corrupted, and I lost everything. Never went back to it. Years later, I finally buy the game again, and I'm like, I want to do this. And R1 is to shoot, and I lose all interest. How dare you make R1 to shoot? How the fuck did I play this game in the first place? That is one of the games I would fucking love to be remastered now. With like Unreal Engine or something. Just reboot that game from the ground up would be fucking phenomenal.
I'm gonna go for a bit of shameless self-promotion here, but on the other parish, Only Madness, we're currently working on a project called a Worst Games List, where we're basically myself and my two colleagues are doing our own separate list of the 50 worst games we've ever played.
Sure.
The Getaway features on my list, and I'll tell you why. Because, again, the Getaway, at the time, was a fascinating concept. I remember reading it through. Again, this is the golden age of the fucking PSX.
The first time you'd mapped, like, London. You know, the first time you had, like, legit London in a 3D environment, you know.
Well, bear in mind as well, you see, like, that's, like, even that is not a particularly unusual concept, because, like, Driver had done, like, Havana and Rio and all these other places, and they're almost one-to-one. Like, Vegas was almost one-to-one, in terms of that. But, again, there was, like, you know, size issues and stuff like that, so they had to keep it to a certain size and stuff like that, and fidelity and compression, and like Tanner coming out of his car and looking like a fucking origami figure was a natural like byproduct of like having to try and fit a massive city into the game. But even then, like in the original Driver, like in the save files is Newcastle. Like the city of Newcastle was their alpha, so they rendered Newcastle in the game. And if you know where to find, if you get the cheat code that they give to you at the end of the game, you can drive around Newcastle. But
that's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool, yeah. So the Getaway was very much like, okay, let's do what Driver did, but on our standards. And so I remember again looking at the concept and thinking like, oh, this is really gritty and realism. It should be really cool. And I never played the Getaway bar a demo. And the demo was fine because you're only doing free roam. You're only driving around, and you're just like, you know. And again, it shows this is how fucking immature male brains are at this age. It's like, oh my god, you get to drive real cars around. Like they actually have the badges on them. Drive an Alfa Romeo. That's fucking incredible.
I can drive a Vauxhall.
Like the whole point, you could drive a fucking Ford Transit with BT on the side. Is well, for the original versions anyway.
of that game because of the fucking copyright. Like that was the only copyright thing they got fucked up on was BT.
Well, I still have my BT version. I ain't going anywhere.
No, that's like that. The fact that gets sold off as a unique fucking selling point. Here's the BT version of it's just fucking hilarious. But that's the thing, right? It sounded cool at the time, but when you play it now, perhaps now or just generally, you realize, oh, it's actually it plays really really badly. Like it's tried to do a whole load of different types of gameplay and it's failed on all counts. And it is only because like the game, the technology and overall game design was not prepared for like going completely cold turkey without an interface. Like nowadays, because you have the resolution and you have enough visual cues, and again, just enough people with experience to go, okay, how do we give a player a visual cue without giving them a visual cue? Like that language now, that kind of like, you know, that like expressive language is easy now to do because you've had, this sounds like a bit of a stretch, but roll me here, but you've had survival horror games do this. You've now lived in an era where you've had Outlast, The Evil Within, Until Dawn, all this sort of stuff, Resident Evil, like Resident Evil 7 I'm thinking of in particular, where you've been able to tell the player time to move without saying anything. So now you can apply that same principle to something like the Getaway, where like you're going for maximum grit and realism, scaling back all the visual interface to just making it look like a Guy Ritchie movie and plugging that back in. But again, it's a weird contradiction of like video games where like you can remake a good game and give it all the HD polish in the world, and that's to sell like hotcakes because most video game like gamers just kind of want the same thing over and over again. but it's riskier
Brink.
and like less likely to get a budget by taking something that did fail the first time and just making it and fixing it the second time. Oh, what's happening?
Oh,